Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. 谢谢。
So here we are moving around in the streets of Canada. This is around midday and you can see there's no one in the streets. This is how calm it is here in Canada. This is what I've realized. Hey there, welcome to Canada. From China to Canada, so much has happened, and of course I want to share with you guys the huge culture shock, the huge differences I found. I just thought I should show you guys out here before getting indoors to make the video and share more details, so stay tuned. So I moved from China to Canada after nearly 7 years of living in China. Of course, that's a very long time, and when I tell so many people that I've been in China for like 7 years, right here in Canada, they are very surprised and shocked. Like, they ask, how was it in China? What was your experience like in China? And that's one of the reasons why I started this channel in the first place, to be able to break boundaries and bridge that gap for everyone to understand the reality of every country, because I think there's so much that so many people do not understand about various countries. And after living in Africa, moving to China, living in China for nearly 7 years, and now moving to Canada, I can say I've learned a lot after interacting with so many different people across different continents. And of course, on this channel, I'm gonna keep sharing with you guys all my experiences, and of course speaking to more people in different parts of the world when I can, so that you can understand the reality of living in a different country. And normally moving from China to Canada is definitely a very big move. Well, when I got here, the first difference that I realized is the lifestyle difference. Wow. Living in China for nearly 7 years and moving around China, traveling across different provinces and different cities in China, meeting different people and talking with them, I've realized that China kind of has this fast-paced life, and everyone always seems to be like busy, always on the move, and there's so much happening in China. The machinery, the extensive railway lines, the metro, the technology, the market, so much interaction happening in China. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But moving here to Canada, just for the first few months that I've lived here, I've realized that the lifestyle here in Canada is much more laid back and more relaxing. Like, everyone seems so calm and of course very busy, but then everyone seems so calm. The lifestyle is really slow as compared to China, and that's something that I'm really getting used to. I can definitely get used to that. It's really amazing how calm and simple the lifestyle is here in Canada. And of course, despite the fact that it's kind of slow here and much faster in China, the second point that I've realized, which is kind of a culture shock, and it's really different from China and from my country, Cameroon in Africa, is that sense of togetherness, always coming together, so many people in the same place. You can't really find that here in Canada. Of course, sometimes you can find that from the numerous number of people that are here in Canada from other countries, but here most people seem to be living a kind of solo life. Like, when I was living in China, when I go out anytime, many people usually ask, "Nichifan or "Have you had something to eat?" Or people just say hi for no reason. They just say hello for no reason. Here in Canada, it's kind of different. Everyone seems busy. Everyone just goes along their way and just do what they want to do. And that's quite a difference, because I was kind of getting used to the lifestyle when I was living in China by interacting with the people. And now here, of course, they are quite friendly people, because normally we all know many people here in Canada are very friendly. Moving around, when I move around the street, sometimes I can meet many friendly people, or if I go to an office, or if I go to handle something at any company, I meet people who are really friendly. They smile, and are good, but then that aspect of always being together, like if you have been watching my videos, you realize that China is like a cultural hub. And here too, they have the culture, but it's not that kind of extended family culture. In China, they look so much into that extended family, into always coming together, like during the Chinese New Year, during any holidays, they come together as a very big family. But here in Canada, it's quite different, and the lifestyle it's pretty much different. But then I think many people can adapt to this lifestyle. But one thing I still like about all of this is just the slow paced style, which you can just relax and think about your life, think about your future, and just have a calm and quiet time. So I can say for me personally, I've had to adjust that hustle and bustle lifestyle which I was getting familiar with while in China, and bringing it much slower and getting familiar with the lifestyle here in Canada. Of course, it's still fun, it's still amazing, and it's just a difference, just like two different personalities. And then for the third point, which is kind of very common and widely spoken about here in Canada, is the cost of living. It's kind of insane. When I moved here, adapting to the change, like in China, so many things are affordable, so many things are cheap, many things are made in China, from clothing to groceries to shoes and different kinds of machinery. As a matter of fact, everything, even food is so cheap and affordable in China. But when I moved here, huh, it's crazy. Just once you leave your house to go somewhere, like if you leave your house, even if you're taking the bus or you're taking your car to go like 3 kilometers away and then come back, you can really lose a whole lot of dollars from your pocket. And that's kind of crazy. So I'm still trying to get familiar with that. I'm still trying to adapt myself with that, because in China, many things were really affordable. But then on the flip side, here the salaries also matter, because it's quite different from that in China. The salaries that people receive here in Canada, of course, is much higher than that in China. So many things are also cheaper in China. Uh, of course, the housing is much more affordable in China, but the housing crisis here, I know so many people have been complaining about the housing crisis in China. It's crumbling, but here in Canada, it's also got a crazy housing problem. And from what I've realized recently, just searching for a house, for an apartment to rent here in Canada has been insane. If you don't have about 1,800 or $2,000 to be able to find a reasonable apartment, it will be so hard for you to adapt and find a cozy apartment for yourself, maybe for your family, which is really one problem. But I think from what I've learned, from what I've heard, the government here seems to be looking deep into that, probably due to the high immigration in Canada. But then, as compared to China, housing over there is really affordable. The food, lifestyle, living costs, really affordable. But here in Canada, it's a whole different story. Very expensive, and hopefully, I get used to that with time. If you have been following this channel, you realize that I always speak so much about people coming together, people living together, people understanding other parts of the world. Like if you haven't traveled to a location, it's good to keep an open mind and learn to be able to see the world differently from what we mostly see in the media, from hearsay, from word of mouth that you can hear from someone. And on this channel, I always try to bridge that gap, which leads me to my very next point, the complaints. People complain about governments everywhere, not just in my country in Africa, not just in Europe, not just in Asia, but also here in Canada and in America, of course. If you've been following the news everywhere, you realize that people complain about governments everywhere. People complain about living standards, people complain about the living cost, the rising in fuel prices, the difference in rent. So I've realized that after moving from Africa through China and then here in Canada, everyone has similar problems. We all have the same problems everywhere you go. And I think that boils down to what I always say on my channel, that we are all human. We all want the same things. Like if you have a family, if you're a wife, if you're a husband and you have a kid, all you want is to be able to provide for your family and for your kid, for good education for your kid, and just be happy. And yes, I know our governments definitely play a great role to make it better, to make it good. But then I think rather than pointing fingers from one country to the next, which I've said before on this channel, I think we all need to understand each other and just do our best to be able to hope that our governments can understand our plight and make things better for everyone. And the fact that people usually do not keep an open mind to understanding different cultures and different countries, it really causes some sort of segregation, like enmity among people, because when someone leaves from one country to another country and they ask you, where do you come from? You say, oh, I'm from China, or I'm from Africa, or I'm from this country or that country. Many people have that stereotype in their minds, and that's something that really affects so many people, either directly or indirectly. So while living here in Canada, one good aspect that I've really seen is the fact that there's real diversity, and there's so many people from different parts of the world living here in Canada, and that's one amazing aspect. And I even saw Chinatown here in Canada. And of course, I'm gonna make a video in Chinatown. I'm gonna go visit Chinatown and speak to some locals in Chinatown here in Canada, and they'll share their point of view right here. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell if you want to see those videos, because I'm gonna go out into the streets, talk to more people, get their points of view about living here, and of course talk to many businesses here. There are many foreigners that I've realized who've got different businesses, foreigners from China, foreigners from India, foreigners from Nigeria, from Cameroon, South Africa, from different countries around the world. So the fact that Canada welcomes that diversity is really an amazing aspect, and it's easy to like build a community of people where you can talk to each other and share ideas, exchange ideas, and grow together. And of course, that's one amazing aspect. And definitely there's so much that I want to share with you guys. I'm gonna go out to the streets. I'll talk to some people, ask their own points of view, and they will actually share with you how they feel, probably about their lifestyle, the living cost, the diversity here in Canada. I can't wait to explore. Thank you so much for sticking with us. From now on, we're going to try to post regularly, at least a few times a month, so you can see what's happening here in Canada. Staying in the same place is scary. Moving to another place is scary. Well, millennials, thank you so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me that you have been supporting this channel right from the onset, and there's so much more to come. Feel free to like this video, subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and of course, stay tuned. I'll share with you so much more. Thank you. Remember, this is Willen. See you next time.